Change the Well, welcome everybody to our SolaraGem workshop tonight. It's really a special occasion where our special guest is Sherry Anshara, who I was very fortunate to meet back in June at the Energy Psychology Conference outside of Phoenix, and was just blown away with a 10-minute session with her, and really everybody else that was there was in the same boat. And so anyway, I ended up, and I'm going to show these later. I forgot to load them on the my computer, but I will do that while she's talking. Did 3 sessions with her the following week because I was out there, and just amazing results. And I'll show those pictures a little later. And then anyway, the more I've learned about it, we just shared a booth at a conference in Las Vegas about 10 days ago. Again, just amazing the results she was getting, and everything. I've signed up for her course that she's teaching her work, and to me, it's just the perfect complement to SolaraGem, because SolaraGem is a tool that relaxes, opens the mind up, kind of gets it out of the way. But that's all it does. I mean, it's not all it does, but it can't actually talk to the client. It can't look at the client and see where their body is out, where it's holding emotion, where it's holding energy. The work Sherry does. So it's such a beautiful compliment. So I'm just going to turn it over to Sherry Anshara and let her jump in. And if you need me, Sherry, I'll be here. But I'm going to let you just take it away.
All right. Before we do this, I'm going to exit because I want to show you guys some pictures I forgot to bring. It's been a crazy day. So it's all right, Mike, I show him the pictures?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll be right back. And actually, your friend's on his way here tonight.
Okay, yeah, another connection I know in Salt Lake City is in town, and so he's going to visit with Sherry, and yeah, we've had quite a few people that are. Here's somebody texting me again. But yeah, Sherry's work is incredible, and I think the key to it is how simple it is, how direct, and I know she's been really crazy busy this week, and she also got injured in the hotel out in Las Vegas, and Mariah, her assistant's here. So thank you for coming. So Sherry's back, and then I'm going to ask everybody just to mute yourself, and feel free to unmute if you have a question. But if you could mute yourselves while you're listening, that'll make sure there's no undue noise. And I'm going to mute myself too.
So if you have any questions or comments, so how did I get started in this? This is how I got started. Actually, somebody put up here interested in cell healing. In 1991, I had the most incredible experience. I died. It was fabulous. I kid you not. It was amazing. So I had a broken neck, a broken back, a smashed head, and a brain out of place, which we didn't know my brain was out of place. And so the doctors gave me predictions. They weren't even psychic. They just told me all these terrible things. And I thought, wow, how exciting is that, not? And so I was laying in the hospital bed in Connecticut, and I was from Michigan. I had been there visiting for a Memorial weekend. It was a memorial, I'm telling you. And you'll have to forgive me. I have an outrageous sense of humor. When you've died 5 times, you can't help it. So anyway, as I'm laying in there, I thought, well, I'm really screwed up. We didn't know my brain was out of place at the time. And I thought there has to be something smarter in my body because my body's a mess. And 2 words came to me: cellular memory. And then I recognized there was a difference called cellular memorization, which is the illness, the disease, the dysfunction, or the problem. And so after being a week in the hospital, I thought I've got to go home. So I made arrangements to take a cab to Hartford, Connecticut, and fly back to Michigan. And the doctors were very upset. It was a teaching hospital. And so they all like to know. And I was actually 15 feet underwater, upside down the Connecticut River, in a drunk person's car who wasn't a Kennedy. Forgive me, I can't help it. Those that know that time would get it. And the car had, I got in this car that a drunk woman fell out of, literally, and asked me if I could move her car. So I had been up since about 5 a.m, and this is like 11 o'clock at night now. And so the car surged and all this stuff. So from that experience, life was very challenging, and had it all, lost it all, but gained myself. It was amazing. And through that experience, I knew that I was on a different path than what I had been before in business, the corporation, entrepreneur, all of that stuff, breaking glass ceilings. And I actually never broke a glass ceiling. I told everybody I was too short. I just broke in the glass door. So from that foundation, and I began to look at things quite differently. And people started coming to me, even though my life was falling apart, and asking me, could you heal me? Could you help me? Could you do this? And I thought, there must be something wrong with these people. My life has fallen apart and they're looking for me for answers. And so way back when, still in Michigan, they asked me if I would teach them something. So you all have to laugh about this. I said, you are asking me to teach you something? I'm going, wow, these humans must really be screwed up because my life is falling apart. And I thought, what am I going to teach them? But I started writing a book on it, get this, a 286 computer way back when, and I didn't have any computer skills really. And I started writing this book. And when they asked me to please teach them something, I said, I don't know what I'm going to teach you. So I said, I'll teach you something for 8 weeks. I made that up. And so every week they came for 13 months. Every week. And they said, we'll pay you. And I said, you'll do what? You'll pay me? Oh, well, come on over. And so I started teaching them. And I'm going, well, this isn't exactly the corporate world or entrepreneurship, but this is interesting. And from that, really started developing what I call the Intuitive Powers Practical Application courses way back when. And then I came to Arizona. Don't feel sorry for me, but this is because we've all gone through challenges one way, and you don't have to. Honestly, you don't. But I came to Arizona in 1997 with my last $50 and didn't know anybody. And I had the audacity to move to Scottsdale because it had an abundance consciousness. And that's when I really, in that beginning, began to look at the difference between consciousness and belief systems. Let that sink in. So I ask all of you, what's the first letter of the word belief? B. And what's the first letter of the word system? S. And I thought, wait a minute, this is a bunch of BS. And so I started examining things, and I always have been all my life. So out of that came 3 magnificent tools, not right away, but I've written 5 books, including one on DNA. But what I discovered in the body, in the cellular memory, the brilliance, the innate intelligence that I now call NI, because don't we have AI, artificial? But you're not artificial. So natural intelligence is your cellular memory. It is your cellular, and pardon the phone, I have to keep this on. One of Mike's friends is in town, and so he was going to let me know when he gets here. And so natural intelligence is who you are. So the minute the sperm hits the egg, you are in, you are here. How do I know that? Because I work with babies in the womb, honestly, and they tell me extraordinary things, extraordinary. And I've been in delivery rooms and home births, and it's quite powerful. However, there's also this thing called cellular memorizations. Those are the belief systems. So I ask you this, how many of you growing up, when you had an idea, we're not judging anybody or blaming, because blame is the B-lame game, by the way. I teach wordology, is your biology. So without blaming anybody, how many of you had an idea and you told somebody and they thought you were nuts and you couldn't do it? Or I know, Cynthia, I see you. That's exactly. And it didn't fit in. So can you imagine being my mother? Oh my God, it was amazing. So I'll just tell you the truth. So when I was 3 years old, I said to my mother, remember when I was Jewish and lived in New York? She goes, we're Catholic, we live in Detroit. So it freaked her out. And so the poor dear woman, honestly, she survived my childhood. And so I began to question things at a very early time, blessed to be raised by 3 teenagers. So I never talked baby talk. And my sister said I sounded like a midget. So why am I doing what I'm doing now? And you ask yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? You're doing it because you're supporting other people to what we call heal themselves. And so what I call healing is addressing the issues in the tissues, addressing and why do we have cancer? Why do we have depression? Why do we have addiction, anxiety, burnout, suicides, addictions? And so what I've discovered over the years, there is an emotional component. I know someone talks about emotional intelligence. I'm not wronging them, but I've never found any intelligence in emotions. What I discovered over these 31 years is that the core of every illness, disease, and dysfunction is emotional by someone being stuck in the past. So in the Anshara method that I'm now teaching through the Anshara Institute, and Mike is in the class, and we now have law enforcement, former military, we have moms with kids, we have naturopaths, we have nurses. So what do all these people have in common, and all these different ages and stages? Because we're in an impasse now on this planet. This is not, going, the sky is falling chicken little, but what is it? And in this next year, according to the government and Forbes, and if I'm going too fast, tell me, I get so excited, that 47% of healthcare providers will be out of the system. That's doctors, nurses. I personally know 7 doctors that are out. Some hospitals are closing, that I found from people that are administrators in the hospital. So who's going to take care of us, and who's going to take care of the children, and who's going to take care of the grandchildren? So we are in a paradigm shift. And that's why I'm so grateful for all of you to be on here. So our next course starts September 9th. It's online. And then we have a weekend where we go through the practicum. And so let me show you, this goes back 11 years. A gal came to me, and she was recommended, and I didn't know that, but she came, started out recommended. But these were her blood cells. Can you see that? I do not take this technology. These were her blood cells. And these were her blood cells 3 months later working with me. This is no supplements, no meds. And when she came, I discovered that her meds and supplements were actually counteracting each other. And I would never tell anybody, don't take something, but we did the muscle testing, and I'm sure you all know that. So her doctor, who was doing this, unbeknownst to me, came to me after the 3 months with these beautiful cells and said, how did this happen? And that's the difference between belief systems of what I call duality, good and bad, high and low, my way or the highway, or whatever it is, and being conscious for that person, And she was about 100 pounds overweight, and had all kinds of issues in her tissues. But we got to the core. And the core origination point actually started at 3 years old. I'm going to turn this down. So when people come to me and they say that they have been diagnosed with something, this is wordology, diagnosed, isn't that scary when you're diagnosed with something? So I'm looking like, what is the core? So in the core is getting to the why. The why, okay, guys, now don't faint when I tell you this. So here's the why in the road. So you can continue to fork yourself or create a new fork. Dustin, I just saw you laughing. So let's make a new fork, however that is, by getting to the core of it. So I will show you some pictures. So this gal came to me out of the hospital. Her sister is a millionaire, has nothing to do with it. Her sister left home at 15 with nothing. She just left and worked her buns off. But this one stayed in the abuse, not judging anybody. And these were her legs. Can you see that? That's diabetes and gangrene. Can all of you see that okay? And they were going to cut off her leg. Now, she was an overweight hairdresser. How could you be a hairdresser overweight on one leg? It doesn't work. And she had children to take care of, and she was single. So this happened in 4 one-hour sessions. Can you see the difference? Amazing, isn't it? That's how smart your body is. So I can laughingly say, I assist you to get a left brain lobotomy. Isn't that wonderful? Not really. So it's to get you out of that thinky, stinky brain. And here's another gal that came, and she had, this is cancer. Can you see that? That's throat cancer. And the emotionality of throat issues are not speaking your truth. And the throat is actually connected to the feet. So little children are excited and their feet are all moving. And what's the first thing the parents say? Be quiet, don't move. It's like the idea, we can't wait for the kid to say the first word, then they say it, and then you tell them to shut up. And then they can't wait for the kid to take the first step, and they tell them to shut up and sit down. I don't get it. Whatever. And so this is actually 4 days later. This was 8 hours. Can you see her neck there? Isn't that amazing? Isn't that extraordinary? But here's my favorite, and we've actually, and you can see even here, as it was starting to dissipate, where that big lump was. Isn't that amazing? So your body has this incredible intelligence, but this is my favorite. I can show you this. This was, she came to me, and this is, I went to the doctor, I went to Mayo, we did all the tests, and they couldn't find anything wrong with her. There was nothing wrong with her. So this is the pictures that she took, and this is what she looked like. Isn't this amazing? She called herself Shrek, and that was 1 hour later. But this is what she really looks like. So what would you suppose would be her emotional issue? Are you ready? She was wife number 5 with 6-1 in the wing. Get it? And she couldn't face it or see it. And there wasn't anything wrong. And so in my terrible sense of humor, I met wife number 5 and I knew the husband, and that was his profile. So I teach profiles and behaviors and roles. So I said to the 6th wife, before she said, I do, I said, if 5 women can't fix them, what makes you think you can? And now they're not really happy. They're not, they're miserable. So his profile is rescuing, wanty, needy women. And we get rid of wanty, needy. And their profile was rescuing men. So isn't that just amazing? And actually wife number 4 came to me recommended by wife number 5. Isn't that extraordinary? So getting to the core, the origination point of the illness or the disease or the dysfunction, whatever it is, there is emotional component. Addiction is desperation for attention. And even the disabling enablers are desperate for attention also. Depression is deepest disappointment. I write 52 original articles a year for my newsletter on my share. I'll write that on my SherryAnshara.com. And I had written an article called Decadal Depression. And I have discovered that through my clients, amazingly for me, is that each decade has a different idea of depression, from the 50s or the 60s or the 70s or the 80s. And now the depression in the 30 and under, 25 and under, and the older teenagers is there's no future. And that's the worst depression, that there's no future. And that's not the truth, because we create our future. And it's 1 minute from now. And so I have a lot of Sherryisms. So it's really assisting you to get to the core. What is the origin of it? And sometimes the origin happens in the womb without judging anyone, and where we are emotionally. And sometimes when we get to it, we find our parents, whatever age or stage they had us, at 18 or 20 or 30, the emotional component is that they may only be 6 years old or 10 years old or 8 years old without judging. So when we find out the core, the origination point of what triggered all of this illness or disease or dysfunction. So when people fill out my intake sheet, it gives me direction on how to guide them so that they can heal themselves and address the issues in the tissues, whatever it can be. And people will ask me, how long does it take? I don't know. It's whatever your take is on you that you would like to take it to that point. So it's really up to you. And in teaching wordology as your biology and having Sherryisms is to really define words and how the words have affected, effected, and infected us. So if we look at the word culture, what are the first 4 letters of the word culture? Cult, without judging it. So the Anshara Aha method is really to assist people. We assess their body. Did you know that your shoulders are connected to your knees? And you see the old people that are going around like this and they're cut off at the knees and they have to have their knees replaced and they still have the same issues. So you can put titanium or whatever in them or cement, and it's still, your throat is connected to your feet. Your jaws are your hips. Your nose is actually the old 7 chakra system or the duality system. Your wrists and ankles represent support, not having it. And so the calves are the sacrifice of a child. So when we look at that in the course of how we substantiate our fears, and fear is not false evidence here in Rio, it's really fear is lack of correct information. So when we get the correct information, it makes a big difference. And so whatever that you are doing, a massage therapist or a psychologist, this just provides you with even more clear tools for not only for yourself, because one of the biggest problems with the 47% of the healthcare providers that are leaving the system is burnout. And I teach about energy is a byproduct. That's all energy is a byproduct of either being conscious or having those fears or those issues. And when that leaves that body, it can imprint in you. So if you might have had a similar, this is not a judgment, a similar issue, and that your patient or your client has, without realizing, sometimes with realized, it does have an effect. So people ask me, how come I don't get burned out? Because of this first tool that I teach, Neo. Not, Neo the Matrix. Actually, I wrote a book about the Matrix, but Neo is non-emotional observer. I teach this to businessmen, businesswomen. I've taught it to executives. I've taught it to adults, even adulterations, only kidding. I've taught it to children. And guess who gets it first? The kids, Neo. So when you're not emotional about something, then you can get to the facts. And that gives your power. Otherwise, we get forced. The second is now, non-emotional listener. And we've been taught to hear each other. Have you ever been in a conversation where you're sharing some information and someone's already giving you feedback and you haven't gotten everything expressed? I see Cynthia. Call parents, only kidding, only kidding. It's just what it is. Or a spouse or a friend or somebody, or even a patient or client. So when we are now, we're getting the facts, non-emotional listener. And the other one is connecting to cellular memory, which is our natural intelligence, our NI, because we're not artificial, and that's a fact. And so with the experiences that my clients have had over the years, they were the ones that said, you've got to do this, to add this tool to the healthcare industry or to providers or new education or to kids, and kids get it. So any questions? I know it was a lot of information, but it's really amazing.
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question. And Sherry, do you want to do like an example of somebody? Do you want to bring somebody on? Or I know we didn't really.
Sure. If they're willing, I'd be happy to. If they're willing, I'd be happy to do it right here.
Well, I know Marcella had an issue. Marcella, do you want to come on? I don't know if she's can hear me. Anybody else have something going on that they would like to do a brief session with Sherry?
That's brave, and do it. Because we all have issues in the tissues, believe me.
I have an issue.
Good. I've got more than one, but it's okay.
So what do I just tell you what my issue is right now?
Okay, so what's something bothering you? It could be pain. And by the way, the reason we have pain in our body, it's our body's attempt to get our attention. But then we take something for it, and then it gets worse. The body, that's how the body speaks to us. So Margaret, what would you say it would be?
I have heart failure.
You have what?
Heart failure.
You have heart failure. Okay. Can I ask what decade you were born in?
60s.
Okay. So the 60s, what there were in the 50s, it was you grow up, get married, have children, live happily ever after. And then work out so well. But it did sometimes. But the 60s, there was a little bit of confusion. And this has had to do with war, because it was for the Vietnam War, then it wasn't so sure. And then the rebellion happened that dragged it into the 70s, and then everybody tuned out and turned on. And then the Beatles and all that stuff. So, okay, so what I'd like you to do is I would like you to close your eyes, or you can open, it's up to you, but close your eyes if you can, and connect to your heart. Connect to your heart and tell me, what does your heart look like? Is it thick or dark or sticky or icky or yucky? What does it look like?
That's the first time I've been asked that.
I know, that's why we're doing the Anshara method. So what does it look like? The doctors don't ask you, have not been shown that. This is not judging anybody. I've been doing this a long time.
I'm afraid I'm going to I've been reading reports about where my heart's at. So that's how I think of it right now.
No, but no thinking, let's just make
Okay.
connection. So with the idea of a diagnosis of heart failure or problems, what does it look like? And I'll give you some examples, but you use your own words. Is it
Okay.
thick or dark or sticky or icky or yucky? What does it look like in your heart when someone says you have heart failure?
Mm. Well, my first thought was it seems bright to me, bright red, which
Okay, bright red, that's perfect, that's perfect. Okay, so what I'm gonna ask you to do is we are going to, so now this, whatever I say, none of you take this that I'm doing this personally or judge me. I'm not, I've been doing this a long time. And the idea is, so we're in psychology and psychiatry, this is not a judgment. We are told we're audio, visual, and kinesthetic, correct?
Mhm.
That's a bunch of baloney. I'll tell you why. So if I get up in the morning and said, oh, well, I'm only audio, but I'm going to drive my car and I'm not going to be kinesthetic or, visual, I'm going to have an accident because I'm going to pay attention. So we get caught in these boxes. That's the matrix. And the box has a label under it. It could be mother, father, sister, brother, whatever it is, or it can be an illness, or it can be genetic. Believe me, I've blown a lot of my family's genetics, trust me. And so you said it will look red, and what was the other bright?
bright.
Bright red. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to become a builder. You're going to become a builder, okay?
Okay.
And in your heart, you're going to build a reference point. You can call it a room, a space, a place, whatever you'd like to call it, it's okay. But you don't have to put up walls wide open. There's no ceiling. It's just like wide open, but there is a floor and a door. A floor, we're outside the door. I'm with you. We're outside the door. And over the door, instead of entrance or exit, it's your two words, bright. And what was
Red.
that? Bright and red.
Red.
Bright and red. So over the door, it says bright and red. That's going to lead you into the floor of it, but we're still outside. So tell me when you have it built.
So what I have built is just a floor and a door.
Yeah, and there's a room, but it's wide open. There's no walls, but we're outside. But over the door, it says red in your description.
Okay.
Got it
Okay.
built?
Uh-huh.
Keep your eyes closed. You can open them, but it's less distracting. So now, as Neo, non-emotional observer, and now non-emotional listener, whatever comes up, and I'm totally with you, you're safe, we're rooting for you. I would like you to step through the door, and you're just going to stand there like the first time you went to an art gallery or maybe somebody's home, like you have no reference. There's no past there. You're just walking into the door, and you're looking around this room that's wide open. And tell us when you're in there.
Okay, I had walls up, so now I got to take the walls down.
No,
Sorry.
if you like the walls up, you can leave the walls up. It's your room.
Okay.
Got them up.
When I walk in there, it's dark, but there's also green leaves on the wall.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, so it's dark, but you see green leaves. So I'm going to ask your body now for the answers. So question means quest, the quest at your ion or cellular level. So take your time. So I'm going to ask you a question and take your time. Let your body process it. And with your permission, I'm going to give you an example. And I'm going to use myself. I'm totally not attached to it. Okay, if that's okay with you.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the question. Take your time. I'm going to use myself as an example. So just consider this and take your time. How old are you in that room? Let your body process this. So I will give you an example. When I was in my mother's womb and I remembered, I got to get out of here. This isn't working for me. And I was a preemie, a fat preemie, but I was. And the fact is, I didn't feel any connection. So you are there. So how old are you in that room?
Preteen.
Pardon?
Preteen.
Yes, preteen. So are you like 12 or 10? Let your body, it has all the answers. Let your body answer.
I'd say about 12.
You're 12. Okay, that's 7th grade. So what were you doing? So I'm going to ask you this, and then I'm going to give you another example. This is about me, but I'm not connected to it. I'm like past it. So at 12, are you connected to your mother? Take your time. Let your body. So when I was born, no, I know I never connected to my mother, not one time. She was lovely. She didn't beat me. I have no idea who that woman is. My sister was 12 when I was born. That's my mom. I don't care. My mother was very formal. You had to call her mother. If you called her mom, I don't know what would happen. So here you are, you're 12 years old and you're not connected to your mom, and you're the female, and she's the female. And that's the creative side of us. So we're gonna have to dig up those fairy tale books and beat them. Did you feel connected to your father?
Yes, more so. Yes.
But so you felt connected to him.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have a male side and a female side. Females left, males has nothing to do with gender. Zippo, zero. It has to do with the configuration of the brain. Left brain goes to the male side, manifest, manufacture, manipulate, men. The right brain goes to the female side, the creative, and organizes it. The brain is only to organize. That's all the brain was created for, was to organize information. So how did you see that relationship with your mother and father? Were they loving? Were they irritated? Like, what's going on with them?
Not loving.
Not loving. Wait a minute. The fairy tale says the mom and dad love each other and they love everybody. And this is your heart. This is your heart, your real brain. So at 12 years old, you realized with real eyes. So I'm going to ask you, is there a time even younger when you recognized that the fairy tale said your parents love each other and that isn't so? So is there another time earlier?
The first number that came to my head is 7. I don't.
Yes, 7. I could feel it too. So you're 7 years old in the second grade. What is going on in the second grade with your parents? Are they fighting? Are they ignoring each other?
They were either fighting or ignoring each other.
Yes. And they told you that, that your parents love you and they know everything. And so you saw that disconnect, correct?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so in that experience at 7, with your permission, and you don't have to go there because your body's guiding me. I listen to your body. Would you be willing to go into the womb as an observer, not reliving anything? Would you be willing to go into the womb?
Sure.
Okay, so tell me when you're in there. It's a room, you're just observing. What's going on with your mother while you are developing in the womb?
The first word is conflict.
Conflict. Absolutely. There's a conflict. And what's the conflict? Is it with your dad, with herself?
Almost with life.
With life. And we put our heart into life. We're told that. So I'm going to ask you something. Your body knows it. You shared the cells. Take your time, Margaret. I thank you for your courage and bravery. How old is your mother emotionally when you're in the womb? Not chronologically, not the calendar, not the date, her age. Emotionally, how old is she when you are in her womb and your body knows that?
A number just popped up. 8.
8, absolutely. And she's having sex and making the next generation, not judging it. So Margaret, say, knowing at my deepest knowing,
Knowing at my deepest knowing,
I cannot change the past.
I cannot change the past.
But what I can do
But what I can do
is release the cellular memorization
is release the cellular memorization
that is stuck in my heart,
that is stuck in my heart,
that I took on the conflict
that I took on the conflict
of my mother,
of my mother,
who was emotionally 8
who was emotionally 8
and had no idea
and had no idea
that she was imprinting in me,
that she was imprinting in me,
breaking my heart.
breaking my heart.
And my body is so strong
My body is so strong
that it took this many years,
that it took this many years,
minutes, seconds, months,
minutes, seconds, months,
to be diagnosed
to be diagnosed
with this heart condition.
with this heart condition.
So I'm choosing to release the cellular memorization
So I'm choosing to release the cellular memorization
of this broken heart
of this broken heart
that started in the womb
that started at the womb
and connect to my pure cellular memory
and connect to my pure cellular memory
of a pure, healthy heart.
of a pure, healthy heart.
And I begin to remember that
And I begin to remember that
in my heart,
in my heart,
my real brain.
my real brain.
Forgiveness simply means
Forgiveness simply means
for me
for me
to give myself
to give myself
this opportunity
this opportunity
as the observer only,
as the observer only,
no longer participant,
no longer participant,
to go back to the womb
to go back to the womb
and see that both my parents
and see that both my parents
were more afraid than me,
are more afraid than me,
and they had no idea who I am,
and they had no idea who I am,
not a clue.
not a clue.
So I'm choosing to free myself.
So I'm choosing to free myself.
And no one told me about the contracts,
And no one told me about the contracts,
the con of the tracks.
the con of the tracks.
I'm dissolving all the contracts
I'm dissolving all the contracts
and making agreements.
and making agreements.
And I can agree to disagree
And I can agree to disagree
or agree to agree,
or agree to agree.
but I'm stepping into my power.
But I'm stepping into my power.
And no one told me about all the programming
And no one told me about all the programming
that my parents had.
that my parents have.
And as a child,
And as a child
and in the womb,
and in the womb,
I didn't have the words,
I didn't have the words,
language,
language. I'm sorry,
experience,
experience,
knowledge,
knowledge,
vocabulary.
vocabulary
Tell them,
to help them,
to tell them.
to tell them.
And they never listened.
And they never listened.
Even at these other ages, they never listened.
Even at these other ages, they never listened.
But now I'm listening to myself
But now I'm listening to myself
and I'm freeing myself.
and I'm freeing myself.
All they had were the belief systems,
All they had were the belief systems,
the global duality belief systems.
the global duality belief system.
Grow up,
Grow up,
get married,
get married,
have children,
have children,
and live happily ever after.
and live happily ever after.
No one said after what?
No one said after what?
When we all went across the drawbridge
We all went across the drawbridge
and the fictitious Disney castle.
and the fictitious Disney castle.
Yeah, we all found out we're in the dungeon.
I'm sorry, I'm outside, it's starting to storm.
It's okay. We all found out we're in the dungeon.
We all found out the dungeon.
Yeah, we were in the dungeon.
We were the dungeon.
And the first 4 letters of dungeon is dung. Get it? And I'm choosing to free myself.
And I'm choosing to free myself.
I am the only one
I am the only one
who can validate me.
who can validate me.
And for those outside of me
And for those outside of me,
who validate me,
I
thank them.
I thank them.
And for those that don't,
And for those that don't,
oh well,
oh well,
oh well,
oh well,
oh well.
oh well.
I'm freeing myself.
I'm freeing myself.
I speak to all the cells,
I speak to all the cells,
particles and molecules
particles and molecules
in my body
in my body
at the subatomic level
at the subatomic level
and tell them to remember
and tell them to remember
being perfectly healthy
a perfectly healthy,
and operating perfectly
I'm sorry,
and operating perfectly.
I'm operating perfectly.
And I connect to my heart
And I connect to my heart
to remember
to remember
being perfectly healthy
being perfectly happy
and operating perfectly.
and operating perfectly.
And this is my real brain.
And this is my real brain.
So I'm letting go of that diagnosis
So I'm letting go of that diagnosis
and I'm choosing to heal myself
and I'm choosing to heal myself
by addressing the issues.
by addressing the issues.
And it began in the womb.
But it began in the womb.
And I'm now freeing myself.
And I'm now freeing myself.
And I deserve it.
And I deserve it.
And I require,
And I require it.
desire
I desire it.
a healthy heart.
A healthy heart.
And so I am choosing consciousness.
And so I'm choosing consciousness.
Breathe in deep and blow it out with sound. Let's hear the cellular sound. Breathe in deep and blow it out. Yep, breathe in deep, blow it out. How are you feeling?
I could tell I had several deep breaths and sighs as we went along.
Yeah. And how much clearer is that room now? Is it 50% clear, 60, 20, 80? How much clearer is that room?
Clear, like, you mean not dark?
Or whatever it is, how much clearer, how much lighter, brighter? And light is information. So how
It-
much more?
It is lighter.
How much? 70%, 50, 60?
50.
50?
Uh-huh.
How old are you in the 50% that isn't clear? Let your body answer.
I don't know. Sorry, I can't.
Can I prompt you?
Uh-huh.
This is what you're 17, your body's saying 17. So
Oh.
what was going on at 17?
We moved from one small town to Houston, and it was just complete overwhelm. New high school, senior year. And my parents were so stressed out because my father had a new job, 2 jobs, driving Houston traffic, and it was just a mess. And then my sister wasn't doing well. It was just a horrible year.
And you took it all on.
Yeah.
So I thank my 17-year-old
I thank my 17-year-old
for her courage and bravery.
for her courage and bravery.
But now it's time for her to grow.
But now it's time for her to grow.
Not grow up,
Not grow up,
but grow
but grow
into this adult body.
into this adult body
So we can grow in all directions
so we can grow in all directions
and free ourselves
and free ourselves
and heal ourselves.
and heal ourselves.
Breathe in deep, blow it out with sound. So I am freeing myself
I am freeing myself
and healing my heart,
and healing my heart,
my real brain.
my real brain.
Oh, how do you feel now?
Feel better.
Yeah.
I can actually breathe without my shoulders tensing up.
Yes. We'll do one more and we'll all do this together, but you don't have to repeat. Say so you guys can say this to yourself, but Margaret, you can say it. In my shoulders,
In my shoulders,
I'm releasing
I'm releasing
the responsible bullshit program.
the responsible shit program.
So all those people in my shoulders,
So those people on my shoulders,
get out.
get out.
It doesn't mean I'm cutting you out of my life,
Doesn't mean I'm cutting you out of my life,
though I can,
though I can,
but get out of my shoulders.
but get out of my shoulders.
So you can't live or breathe in there.
You can't live or breathe in there,
And neither can I.
and neither can I.
I can't make anyone happy or miserable.
I can't make anyone happy or miserable.
I can support them in either one,
I can support them in either one,
or not,
or not,
or not,
or not,
or not.
or not.
So those NOTs turn into KNOTs.
Those NOTs turn into KNOTs.
So all you people in my shoulders, get the hell out.
So all you people on my shoulders, get the hell out.
I can be responsive,
I can be responsive,
but no more responsible bullshit.
but no more responsible shit.
And that's a fact.
And that's a fact.
So how does everybody feel in their shoulders now? Going, your shoulders are going, yeah, yeah, look at Gary. Get up. Get up. So even in the seriousness of the Anshara Aha method, humor is the best medicine. But so Margaret, how do you feel? And this is just minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
we all give her thumbs up and in just what she has shown us.
Yeah.
And that's all of us. That's why this is a doctor met at the conference. And I've been saying this for years, but I have to say it quietly or they'll think I'm an ego crazy person. But this is the new medicine of the future now. And that's why I would love you guys to join us. And it's so reasonable for 10 weeks. And it starts September 9th. And you do it at your leisure. And it's just really amazingly, I'm real proud of what we've done with it. But it does make a difference. And Mike knows that some of the people that are in it, that are doing it even more than natural, it has just changed their lives because you do it for yourself, but you're also assisting others. This is what is the paradigm shift here. So we don't have to be sick, and we can recognize that we don't have to make this genetic. We don't. So Margaret, I cannot tell you how grateful I am. So anybody have any questions about it? Isn't that amazing?
Thank you so much, Sherry. I'm very grateful.
Oh, well, I'm grateful for you for your courage and bravery. And so this is what I love to tell people. I love pulling your head out of your assets that aren't working, and you wonder why you have back problems.
Hey Sherry, I'm gonna share my screen just real quick and show these pictures. Hopefully from, yeah, here we go. Hopefully the gallery. So hopefully you can see this. So this was a before picture. Oh geez, come on, it's tiny. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know why it's not showing the picture. Oh well. Why it won't show the all right, well, something's not working right. I don't know why it won't show the pictures, but basically I did 3 days. I met Sherry at a conference in June, and she did a 10-minute session on me, and I had the week there in Scottsdale, so I came Monday for a full session. Then I came back Wednesday, I did another session, and then I did a third session on Friday, and you can see a huge difference in my posture, and that's what the pictures we're going to show, but I don't know why they're not showing it. But and she didn't do any manipulation at all. It was just from, she might touch your occipital and maybe just move your arm to show you that your shoulders have loosened up. But it's an incredible process. And I think in the course, which, you know, is online, and so you do it at your own pace, but she has Zoom calls on Saturday where she answers questions, and you, but the course is full of her teachings about this, and also her examples of working with people and what she's doing. So I wanted to bring up that we had a couple of specials. The course begins on the 9th.
Oh, yeah, I
But, yeah,
forgot September 9th, sorry.
but it's but actually the first Zoom call is on the 16th, so everything is pre-recorded except the Zoom calls. And if you can't make it, they're recorded. I've had to miss a few with my travel, but they're remarkable. And several of the people in the course have actually started implementing her methods. About halfway into the course, they're already seeing big improvements in their own practices and what they're doing. And so what I wanted to do is just introduce Sherry to the SolaraGem folks and my friends and other people, because I think it's such a perfect compliment. And she's done a kind of a special deal just for our people. And we get nothing. We're not getting any commission or anything from this at all. This is purely to help the Institute. But the course, which is going to be, is $12.97. It's normally $2,000, and that's what the price will be after this session is passed. But one of the bonuses Sherry's offering is a full session with her, which is a $225 value. And in fact, what we worked out is if you're not sure, but you think you'd maybe look at it further, you can just you can book a session with her, pay the $225. And then if you decide, yeah, I do want to do the course, then she'll just credit that towards the course. So you can really go in like we try to do with SolaraGem. We want you to be fully in and not just trying to sell you things. So make sure it's right for you. And also what I'm going to do is if you do buy if you do a session with Sherry for this, and whether you take the course or not, I'll give you $100 off your next SolaraGem purchase. So that'll help pay for your session. And if you take the course with Sherry, I'll give you $100 off your next 13 SolaraGem purchases if you decide to buy that many over time. So that will cover your whole cost of the course if you just a little bit of an incentive. And because I just think what Sherry's doing is such a perfect match for the SolaraGem, and it's something that really anybody can do. So I think that covers it. But any questions for Sherry about the course or about her method or really anything, please feel free to jump in or.
Mike, thank you for your generosity and for Sherry. But Gary?
Yeah, did somebody say something? Okay, so no questions at all?
Gary, can't hear Gary. He's trying,
Oh, Gary, Yeah, we're not hearing you, Gary, if you're trying to talk. I don't know. Can you hear us, Gary?
No, for some reason my can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
we hear you now. So go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm having some sound issues over here. Are you using the SolaraGem in with what you're doing, Sherry?
That's what I'm going to do now. I'm so excited because the interesting part about it is I'm going to tell you my experience with crystals. When I first started this, and I was very cognitive of people's energy. And have you ever worked with someone or been around someone where after you're around them, they're like, you feel icky? You know, you feel like icky and sticky because they're, you're taking on that stuff. And I thought, God, there has to be something. This is years and years ago. So I had been researching crystals even before I even did this. And I thought, they use crystals for this. And I found out that they manipulated like viruses and bacteria in the labs using crystals. So I thought there has to be a better way. This is like a long, long time ago. And so I went and hand selected some crystals. And when my clients started releasing all that crap, instead of it coming on me, I started putting crystals on them. And then they'd feel real icky and I'd have to clean them and all that stuff. And I go, look at that crap coming out. The crystals is taking it. I'm not doing it because it was like icky. Well, then when I met Mike, it was like, holy Toledo, this is technology in crystals. And I had the experience with them. And the one that I'm like, well, but the crown one, that you call it. And so, so I actually opened my eyes and I could still see the lavender. I could still see it. It was, and that just totally sold me. Does that make sense? And then plus I had an accident at the hotel, which, oh boy. And so I used a couple others in the emerald. And Mike didn't know, but emerald is my very favorite stone. Of all stones in the whole wide world, I love emeralds. And I put that emerald on and it started, I could feel the difference. So yes, my idea is to, as we train the holistic Anshara facilitators, it's like a massage, whatever, is because we had to give it a name, that to be able to use that. And then also the heart quest, because that actually proves, and Mike, didn't that happen? That after even 10 minutes or 15 minutes, when I met all of them at ASAP, the psychology conference, that I at first didn't even know they were having the test with the heart quest. And then they came over and got on a massage table in this conference room and then went back and it created like a buzz. And I didn't even know, honest to God, Gary, that it was going on. I didn't even know. And that's really what started this. And then Mike told me about the crystals. And I go, wow, this totally makes sense. So yes, that is the point of it. And by assisting people to get all this crap out of their bodies, which is thick, snotty, gelatinous, goopy, sticky, ickies, then the crystals will even work even better. Does that make sense? Because they don't have to like try to break through those molecules of emotions that are thick, snotty, gelatinous, goopy, sticky, and icky. So this is called collaboration. So we are actually, the idea is defining the new medicine, from the inside out, but still using the stuff that's proving it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Because it's not doing one or the other, it's doing all of it.
Yeah, the thing that we're seeing with, and we spent the whole weekend in Las Vegas running people on the crystals and having Sherry work on them. And they were just remarkable. I mean, one lady came to me and Sherry wasn't there when she came at first. She had walked off somewhere and she says, I do hold in my anger and I do have angry liver and I have I think she said fatty liver. It was a little bit heavy. It was the kind of body that you could tell this is somebody that holds in her emotions and she's nice to everybody. And we'll answer you there in a second, Dustin. But after she worked with me, she got on the table with Sherry, and this was somebody who just opened up and she was glowing. And even the next day I saw her and she was just grinning from ear to ear. And this was somebody who was kind of starting to admit to herself that, well, maybe I do hold things in and maybe I hold grudges. But I want to be nice to everybody. And that was just one example, but the physiology shifts with people. And so it's just remarkable. And that's why I really wanted to get it and combine it with Sherry's work with the SolaraGem.
And I just love it. And and you know, somebody put this, his wife's a psychologist. Well, actually have some, I have a social worker, another psychologist that's in the course. And see, they're practitioners, and they cannot touch people. They cannot touch people. But actually, my friends are utilizing my methodology in their practice, in their psychology and social work practices, and they cannot, and the results they're getting is amazing. But I have to tell you, the company they work for doesn't know it. So we can't tell them. And so our focus down the road is have brick and mortar, because now with the Anshara, because the people are dressed, it's not like they're undressed for the massage therapist, that they actually can now do that in touch. And that's what I show in the course online of how to do that. So the different crystals that I used, I have a whole bunch of them. They're huge, like big ones that I put on, and you know, some are amethyst, some are, I have to think they're all different ones. I, you know, have like a blue one in the idea of the throat. I have different ones for like the third eye, but they're all huge. These are really big crystals. But now the technology of it, this is even better. Like, I'm so excited about it. You know, it's going to be more effective.
I'm going to try this screen share one more time because I'd really like y'all to see these pictures. Oh, it's still doing this. I don't know. Is the screen tiny for y'all, or is it just me when I share a screen?
No, you
don't see it? Oh, geez. I guess they've changed Zoom around to where it doesn't just. Is this picture showing on the screen?
Yep, that picture's showing you're standing in front of your booth.
Okay, so this was a couple years ago because we didn't do a before picture, but if you noticed, look at my waistline. You see how off my hips are, how kind of my shoulders, I'm just kind of a mess there, right? So this was the first day after I'd done 10 minutes with Sherry, then I did an hour with her on Monday morning. And so this is that picture after that.
This is just, yeah. Isn't that
after
amazing?
the first session, full session. Is that coming through okay?
Yeah, it's perfect. Actually, Mike, it's perfect.
Okay, and then this one was, and it's a little smaller, but maybe I can zoom it. Let's see.
That's my healing.
Zoom this one. This was after Wednesday, so Monday, then Wednesday.
And look, you see his body starting to straighten up?
And I tell you, after this session, I felt like I'd had a full massage. I woke up sore the next day, like you do after a really good massage. And then let me show you. She said, well, I wish we could do one more day. So I said, well, I can come in Friday before I drive to California. And I wore my wrinkledy shirt for my trip. I look terrible, but look at my shoulders there.
Look how much back, and your shoulders are connected to the knees. And actually, Mike's spinal column started aligning. Now remember, I've had a broken back and a broken neck. And they said, you'll never do this, or you'll never do that, or you'll never do this. I go, really? Okay, fine. Whatever.
So anyway, that was just amazing. And let me stop the share here. So yeah, I mean, we were seeing people just in the few minutes at the conference, and they were having these. So anyway, I just wanted to let everybody know about this. And Dustin had a question about his wife as a psychologist. What crystals did you use to absorb that negative energy?
I had all different ones, and they're pretty big. And so it was just, I used my intuition. And how do I use touch with the method is I actually have a methodology of how we touch. And one of the naturopaths that is in the course now, and he's a good friend of Mike's, is I have a way that I hold the head. It's not cranial sacral in the way it's been taught, because I went and got my massage therapy license years ago so I could, you know, find out how they were doing it, but it's completely different. And I also have a methodology of connecting left brain, right brain, and it makes a tremendous difference, because the brain is really our computer and our body is the intelligence. So I have specific ways. And at the end of the course, then we have a weekend where we work with each other in the practicum, and then you really get it. But I do demonstrate it, you know, on the on the online courses. It's really real relevant. Okay, this may tie into the. What would you recommend for a combo of major depressive anxiety? Yes, absolutely. Because I have worked with, actually, one of my best PTSD clients was a colonel in the Pentagon from 9/11. How about that? So I have been working, and actually, this goes back to 2008, 2009. I had all these letters of recommendation. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. And so I got as far as to Washington, D.C. I was actually endorsed by a general from Vietnam, retired. He's not even on the planet anymore. And I got turned down by a pharmaceutical company. They called, I can't tell you the name of it, but it rhymes with Pfizer. And so I see the Nandy. And so, but we're going back after that now. So ADD, like I could have been diagnosed with ADD. Really, that is a misdiagnosis, is that you really are multidimensional. Where I live in my house, I work out of it, I can go down the hallway and there's a bathroom and an office, another one. I could do 12 things before I hit the kitchen. I kid you not. We are really multidimensional beings, but we were told we had to do it a certain way. And that's not the truth. There is a way to enhance ADD and make it productive. Listen, I tell you, I make it productive. Kaylee works with me. Kaylee, do not do like 12 things at one time? And it gets accomplished, doesn't it?
That is the way that you do things, yes.
Yes. She'll say something,
but it gets done, yeah.
It just is whatever it is. Anxiety at the core, emotional core, is unrealistic expectations. That's what it is. It's unrealistic expectations across the board. Depression is deepest disappointment across the board. And so all of these different issues are really basically the same. And this is not judging them. Cancer is actually eating yourself up alive. Some of my clients, like you saw that cancer here, and that was about not speaking your truth. And she also had feet problems. Because when you speak your truth, so I teach the energetic connections. And next year, our goal is to teach the energetic connections on the inside of the body and how the body connects. So I'll give you a quick example. One of my clients in Florida, and I'm here, had 3 different doctors, 3 different diagnoses, and 3 different pills. This is not a judgment at all. And really, as I was working with her, we discovered that she had a non-malignant tumor in her pituitary gland. So I started researching it, but they finally found it. I said, it's there. I'm telling you, it's there. And so the different ramifications of these 3 different systems were connected to the pituitary gland. And that was off. Isn't that amazing? So there's a way the body communicates inside, and that's going to be next year's courses and stuff as we move through this. But I would love to see all of you on this, honestly, and it will actually add to you. So you know, don't go down the tube with people. And it's not that you do, but you can't help it sometimes, especially with your family. So I will share this. I have a niece, and I grew up with her as like a sister because she was my sister's first kid. And I hadn't talked to her in a while. You know how families do that. They talk to you and they don't talk to you. Come on, we all know that, right? So my niece called me the other day and she's talking, and I go, okay, why? The why in the road. I go, so why are you really calling me? And she goes, my life is falling apart. I go, of course that's why you called me. Like you and everybody else. That's funny. And so I got her to laugh. I go, of course you're falling apart. This is perfect. I don't know, it's my sense of humor. So she's getting through it. But we're human, and but our humanness has been shifted, and all these diseases. So
well, and we were talking about it earlier, Sherry, before we got on the call, that the craziness going on right now is everybody's just under such high levels of stress and anxiety. It seems like that it's not really going to be an option to really do something to help ourselves and help our friends. So whatever that is, it's something that's going to be more and more needed. And So yeah, and somebody had a question Dustin had about the picture of the blood. What was the diagnosis there?
She was 100 pounds overweight. She was a complete emotional wreck. She had actually many diagnoses of things that weren't working. And so, and then because of the different meds and the supplement she was on, but it was really basically all emotional, and emotional is physical and physical is emotional. So she was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. She was overweight. She was addicted to food. And I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I will. So when I met her, she had her hair cut short like a man. She wore man's shirts and man's pants, man's shoes. I'm not kidding you. And when I say this, I have clients of every walk of life, every gender. Matter of fact, one young boy that I met when he's 12, he's 27, and I assisted him to becoming, he was a little girl at 12. That's when I met him, and he's 27, he's a guy now. So I am not prejudiced. They're from all flavors. But she was, and this will make you laugh. I remember I used humor. I said, honest to God, you are giving gay women a bad rap. Because and I got her attention, Cynthia, and she looked at me, I go, this is ridiculous. So I called her up and I said, come over with $100. We're going to Ross's. We're going to buy a pair of pants that fit you that doesn't look like there's something in the back end. And we're going to get rid of all. And if you wear ugly shoes, she goes, well, I have big feet. I go, I have a friend in Michigan that I've known her since I was 17, and she wears a 12 shoe and she wears beautiful shoes, and that's all. So we're going to look online. And it completely changed. She ended up losing 100 pounds. She grew her hair out. And I mean, it was like, I wish I had those pictures because there was such a difference. But her mother and grandmother told her, you're a big girl, you'll never be feminine, so don't even think about it. So she was dressing like a guy since she was a teenager. And I met her when she was 40. I go, you're confusing people, including yourself. Isn't that funny? But it's not funny. But the fact is, it completely changed her life. And I got published in a medical journal because of it.
Oh yeah, I mean the stuff that we're seeing, and I don't know, Tom, if you're able to give a little share about what you experienced with Sherry out in Arizona, because you were one that got to experience just a short taste, but you saw some of the people that did that. So I don't know if you're still, yeah, there you are. Can you share a little bit?
Yeah, it was an interesting experience. It was the methodology was simple and it didn't take very long. And I think there was 5 or 6 of us that kind of tested the water, so to speak. And we all agreed that we had positive results as a result of it. So, and it didn't take long at all, which was nice.
It's so good to see you, Tom.
Same here.
And actually, I have to tell you, I just put in a proposal to ASAP for next year. It's going to be at the same place to present.
Oh,
So
cool.
So let's keep our fingers crossed that we get approved.
There you go.
Yeah, so Tom works with people that don't want to futz around and don't want woo woo, and you know they're in real life or death situations, and cops and firefighters and first responders. So he's kind of become an expert at just getting things that work fast and and get to the point, right?
Yeah, minimal talking and quick results is what they want.
Okay, this is Pretty Girl. She loves Zoom calls. It doesn't matter what Zoom call. She always has to participate. This is Pretty Girl. She's a little mad at me. I had to take her to the vet this morning. So she got a pedicure, among other things. So,
Can I ask a question?
sure.
Thanks, Sherry. So the coursework you're talking about is for us individually to improve ourselves. It's not training.
Oh, no, it's everything. It's for
everything.
you and training, absolutely. And to assist your patients or your clients, whatever, you're
Oh, okay.
yeah, oh, absolutely. And that's why like our friend that is the naturopath, and I talk to him a lot, and Mike, you know him, and he is just getting amazing. Oh, now look, Pretty Girl, there's a doggy over there. And it's just quite remarkable of what is, assisting him for himself and his patients. And he's getting better results with his patients. So that's very exciting. Or his
So
client.
you were using intuition as well, because you intuited my age at 17. How important is that for success?
Okay, so this is what intuition is. Remember, I'm the bottom line. I'm the practical though. Intuition is our natural innate ability to discern. That's all it is. What's correct for you or not. How many of you are told this is right or wrong? So growing up, my mother would force me to drink milk because we didn't know about, because that was the pyramid. And milk makes me sick. I mean, it's just, but she forced me to drink milk. And so intuition is the discernment. That's all it is. And so the reason that I got that is because the NEL, the non-emotional listener, when I tune into you, I'm connecting and I'm listening to your body. And not to be rude, I actually don't care what your left computer brain says, because your left computer brain will say you're wrong or bad or stupid or you're an idiot or something, and the labels. But that's how I've been able to do it. And that does take practice, but the more you do it, it's like, learning how to ride a bike or fly an airplane or whatever. It's trusting your own self. And that's why, I could tune into that because I was really listening to you. Even though all of these other wonderful beings are on here, I was really listening to you.
Thank you.
And she teaches that in the course, and the next level of courses will be even above and beyond that.
And by the way, intuition means into it at your ion level, at your cellular level. How about that for wordology as your biology?
And Kaylee, could you drop a link just to Sherry's site where people could schedule a session with her? I know I have a link on the call page for the Institute for the course, but I would invite, if you're interested at all, just have a session or to check out the course. But like say you get the session for free if you join the course, or you can just do the session and apply it to the course. And she's just not offering that to anybody else. So yeah, if you're curious and would like to do that, definitely, and you can contact her and talk more about it too. But I found it, I was hoping we'd have a couple more people from the course come in, but like I say, it's, they're already using it. The practitioners are on there already using her work and seeing remarkable shifts in their practice. And I'm just finding it is so effective with helping people, because what I see out there with SolaraGem is most people want to be fixed. They don't understand healing. Healing is not fixing. Healing is more you. It's removing what's not you. But the worst part, people are saying, well, what fixes this? What fixes that? It's this drilled into us in this left brain again from the time we're born, that pills fix things and doctors, screwdrivers match screws. And it's just our minds are just really screwy in that regard. But what it is healing is when you start to own your own experience, when you start to let go of this conditioning. And we need this conditioning. This is what gets us to a certain point where we can just function in life. And it keeps running. It's like autopilot. And when we tune out driving the car, this just keeps driving the car. So we need it. But life is about becoming more conscious, more aware of who we are, and more aware of the people and the animals and the beautiful things in our world and our life. And so that's what I love about what Sherry's doing, because it's simple. And her wordology is, when you start to really get these, like, diagnosis. Agnostic means I don't know, and die, so you're going to die because we don't know. You go to the doctor and they give you a diagnosis because they don't know what they're doing, and they know you want something to feel good. That it's why cops arrest half the people they do, because people want to feel like the streets are safe, and so they want to throw somebody in jail, whether it's the right person or not. It's crazy how human beings behave. But these words and this wordology, when you really start to get it, it just shows you how funny this thing is. And it's fun to be able to laugh at it, because it's not you. You're not your mind. You are not any of those things. You're not your body. And so it's beautiful. And what the SolaraGem does, it will get the mind out of the way. But what Sherry's doing is getting the mind out of the way and then going in there and rewiring it so that it quits running the same patterns again. So that's why they work so well together. And that's why, I encourage you. And any more questions? I know, Nandy, did you get did you answer Nandy about what kind of touch you're doing? Did
Yeah,
you answer that?
yeah, and the touch that I don't go in with the idea I'm touching them to fix them or I'm touching them to heal them because I'm not going to expend my energy. What I'm doing is actually connecting to the person. They feel that so they can connect to themselves, if that makes sense. So then they start connecting to themselves so they can feel, not think what's going on in their body. And that's the shift of healing from the inside out, and then using the tools like the crystals, the SolaraGems, or the Heart Quest that is actually now being supportive. And you know that, then you are in charge of your body. And when you use these other tools, they work even better because you're more conscious. And by the way, if you go to the SherryAnshara.com, I have a free 17-page ebook that says get your answers in 10 minutes. And I write 52 original articles a year on my blog. I love it. I love sharing information. So I give a lot away because it's how we, how we learn first from ourselves, but we've been taught to learn from outside of ourselves. But now we've got to make the connection and learn from inside ourselves. And then that shows you why the SolaraGems work or why the heart put, because it is within the body. And the body is so smart. It really, really is.
Yeah, and in case you missed it, Sherry, you're what, 81 years old? Is
I
that
know,
right?
don't tell them. Yeah, I am. And
So
we're
she,
20, don't I work like 20-hour days all the time? I
no,
mean,
she was working all day after falling in her hotel room and dealing with like 6 room changes at this awful place we were at in Las Vegas. And it was
you know
just,
what? Because I'm in charge, I'm not gonna say, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that or whatever. That's like ridiculous. So I'll just share this. When I was 30, I told my mother and sister, who was like really my mom, she's 12 years old, that I was gonna learn how to fly an airplane. And they told me I was a girl and too old. So this is wordology. How can you be a too old girl? So I bought an airplane. How'd you buy an airplane? We put so much money down, and once a month you get a bill. You don't pay it, they take it. It's that simple. Like, I don't get it. See, I'm real practical about stuff. Isn't that funny? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. You go to the store and go, why do you buy that? Well, it's because I like it. Why? Isn't that funny? So it's he does he got like, why are you doing that? I don't know. I just made it like because you like it. It doesn't make sense. But we're always taught to explain ourselves. How many of you have been taught to explain yourself? Aren't you bored of explaining yourself? And then instead of just being yourself?
and that's what I think this is so valuable, is because however she does it, it was just a simple, fun, kind of irreverent. It just gets people to let go of things. That left brain just somehow just loosens up, and you see people start shifting, and you experience it when you go through it. So it's remarkable. So any last questions, and please share this with anybody you think would be helpful, because Sherry needs to be known by more people. I think it would be great, and the work she wants to do to create this institute and kind of document this for future generations and people, after we're gone. It's just beautiful. So any last questions or thoughts or ideas from anybody?
This is for the kids, our future. We're creating a new future. Any questions?
How often do you teach the class? Is it every?
Well, this is online now. You can do it online, and at the end of the weeks, then we meet together for a weekend. Here in Arizona, we meet, or we might even do a little bit of online. But when you have that physicality of it, it makes a difference. So even in your licensing, if you can't touch someone, like my friend Carol that's doing it now, and she worked years for the VA, and it has just made a difference in her own. So our goal is through our nonprofit, is to create a brick and mortar so we can even bring this more, all over. But anyway, so we'd love to see you in the class. It will make a difference for yourself as well as your patients or the clients, whatever you're supposed to call them. I just call them people. I call my peeps.
Just from the business side of things, I'll say that the next class starts on Monday. and the next class won't be offered until after the first of the year. So it'll be a while for the next class. So it's Monday, and then probably we're looking at January, February of next year.
Yeah, and then
For
we,
the
and then we, you know, we have it, and then once a week we do, an hour and a half on Saturday morning. You know, on Arizona time, and sometimes it's 3 hour difference, and then November we switch for only 2 hours, because Arizona never changes its time, it stays the same, so we don't do daylight. But if you have any questions or about it, or, any reservations about signing up, I don't believe you would ever be sorry, ever. It will make such a difference for you and for your families. That's for sure. Any other questions or anything? Margaret, you're gonna look like you're gonna ask them. Thank you so
I
much.
was just gonna thank you. I feel way more relaxed. Thank you very much.
Yes, and I will have to tell you, drink water. I don't know what time zone you're in, but drink water. And tonight you might sleep really well or have wild dreams. And within the next 24 to 48 hours, you will actually be noticing differences in your body, especially in your chest and your heart. It's what happens, because once you start doing that, that's the benefit. It doesn't stop at that moment. It really continues, because you are now connecting to that natural intelligence in your body, the cellular memory that overrides the memorization of things.
So do you continue to do this work even though you don't have a pressing health challenge? Do you just continue to do the work?
Sure, to keep healthy.
Okay.
And I had a really bad accident and you know, still getting some tests and that to check it out. But I don't let it get me down. Does that make sense? And what do? I speak to all the cells, particles, and molecules in my body to the subatomic level. So what I just, so, you know, we have all the, you know, the information, and then we have the guidelines that you can change for yourself and how you do it when we start. So, let's all of us do a Sherryism. Let's get all on mute. So say, this is wordology. Say, what I say.
What I
What I
say
say
Makes my day.
makes my
makes
day.
my day.
And what I say
And what I say
can make or break someone else's day.
Can make or break
makes or
someone
break
else's
someone
day.
else's day.
So to prevent back issues,
So to prevent back
back
issues,
I keep my head out of my assets so I can get them to work. The chiropractors I work with, they really love that one.
Can I just say, I followed along with when she was doing the heart, when you were doing the heart thing with her.
Mhm.
And I saw like a big metal silver wall around my heart.
Yes.
And at the end, it opened up, and I could see a big field of yellow flowers and lavender.
Well, you were listening to her body. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Because we're multidimensional, and that was probably, you know, that you know, holding her heart in out of protection. I tell everybody the sternum is there, you know, not as a shield, but just as a way to, you know, contain, you know, the heart and the esophagus and the trachea and all of that stuff. So thank you all. Any more questions? You're welcome to email me at Sherry, on Sherry at SherryAnshara.com or Sherry at AnsharaInstitute.org, and be happy to answer any of them. So anybody else? Thank you so much, and love to see you in the class next Monday. Yay!
I want to say one thing, Sherry.
Oh, yes.
I want to say one thing, Sherry.
Mhm.
So I work for Sherry, but it's funny. I kind of came to Sherry with an interesting synchronicity that happened that kind of brought me to her. I have a yoga background, and I do yoga therapy, yoga nidra, that kind of thing. So I've always known that the body is really intelligent and it speaks to you, and to listen to it, and, you know, to connect with that for healing. I've always known that. But I was in the corporate world. I was kind of high in the corporate world, and I wanted to get out. And funnily enough, I was thinking of resigning, and then I got, you know, laid off. So kind of happened all at the same time. And I had started working for Sherry maybe a week before I got laid off, kind of just looking for something else. And I didn't really have I'll be really honest. I don't even know if I've told Sherry this, but I didn't have the intention of staying for a long time. I was kind of like, okay, well, I just want to get out of the corporate world and I want to work for someone who thinks more like me, who thinks that energy is real and to align with something that feels more true to me. And so I started working for Sherry. And it's funny, again, the synchronicity. I was looking for something. I opened my phone and her ad popped up on Facebook and I called her. It was very interesting how that happened. Anyhow, I started working for her. I kind of started as like just helping her out with administrative stuff because I, again, had no intention of really investing a lot of time in this. And
Now she's not
and
working for me, she's working with me. Go ahead.
that's right. But it started, like that. And I started working, or I started seeing the testimonials. I went with her to a couple appointments. I even had a session myself with her. And I'm all in now. Like it's crazy. I'm like, I'm so in it. And now I'm helping her with her institute and I'm helping her with the training and I'm so into it and I believe in it so much and I'm a lifer now and that's just how it is. And so I don't say this to sell anybody. I'm just saying that I believe in it and I've had a personal session with her. I feel so different since my session. I have anxiety, depression, PTSD, trauma, all these things. And I'm a different person since working with her. And so take that for what you will. But I will say that it's really, really cool working with her. And I don't understand it, but somehow her stuff works. And so, yeah, just want to present that.
Well, thank you.
Mike, thank you so much for introducing me to all your friends and all of this. And we're here to, oh, here comes my other kitty. This is Sweetie Pie. She just popped up on the desk. I don't know if you'll see her, but you might see her tail pop up here. But I thank all of you because we're here really, to make a difference. That's what we're here for, is to make a difference.
Yeah, and I'll post the recording of this, and you'll be able to find it from the same link you got here tonight. And then, I'll throw it up on YouTube too, or send it to Sherry's people, however y'all want to do that. But I'll have the Zoom replay ready as soon as they send it to me. I'll pop it into the page so you can share it with anybody or watch it again if you want. And we'll put Sherry's contact there as well. So. Yeah, thank you all for being here. I know we went a little bit over, but I appreciate your time. And normally we do SolaraGem Q&As here. So if you're interested in that, just you can join the list here on the website and we'll do more of these. I want to tie into more things that really work together. And this is the best I've seen because it's just, she's already put it together. It works. It's simple. And it's just a perfect storm. So yeah, thank you all for coming, and thank you, Sherry, and
Thank you, Mike. So let's storm the planet now. We have to make a change.
absolutely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording, and if anybody has something off the record that they do